Greg Helton, thank you for your super chat. Bart, what is the likelihood that the story of Judas's betrayal is fiction, and have you written about this question?
Yes, I have written about it. I mentioned earlier the Gospel of Judas that was discovered not long ago in the early 2000s. It reappeared, and I was asked by National Geographic to look into this gospel with a team of others, and so we had access to it before it was public, and so I got really interested in this Gospel of Judas, and I got really interested in Judas, and we had to sign non-disclosure agreements, so we couldn't talk about it publicly. But I got them to agree to let me write a book about it that could be released 6 months after the public announcement of it. And so I wrote a book called The Lost Gospel of Judas Iscariot. And I decided to make the book not just about this gospel, which is a Gnostic gospel that is not historically reliable, but is very interesting. I also have, though, historical interest in Judas himself. And so a large chunk of my book is about the historical Judas. And one of the things I consider is whether the betrayal is fiction. I think that it's not fiction. I think that there really was a Judas who was identified as somebody named Judas Iscariot, and that he really did betray Jesus. My reasoning for that takes about a chapter to explain, so I'm not going to be able to get into it. The argument that's floated around more and more these days is that Judas was made up as a kind of anti-Jewish slander. The name Judas sounds like Jew, and comes from Judah, the land of the Jews. And so is it just an accident that the Judean, the Jew, is the one who betrays Jesus? And people thought, that's a little bit too uncomfortable to be, to be false. And probably it's made up. And so it's a good argument, but I don't think it's right. I'm not opposed to it. I don't think it has the balance of probability on its side. I'll just say a couple things very quickly. One is he's consistently identified as Iscariot. We have no idea what the word Iscariot means. And we have ideas. There are lots of ideas. There are like 27 ideas what Iscariot means, but it's not obvious, and it's not the kind of name you would expect somebody to give to this person because we don't know what it means. And so you'd expect him to. And so that's one thing. More important thing is the betrayal, of course, is attested widely in independent sources with various stories about it. That helps confirm that it probably goes way back. Third thing is, it doesn't seem to be the kind of story that Christians would have invented. It doesn't seem to have been the kind of story that Christians would have invented. And so the reason is because this is one of Jesus' insiders. Jesus is supposed to be this authoritative Son of God when people, his followers are just absorbed with his authority. And here this guy just goes against one of his followers. You could see like one of the members of the Sanhedrin maybe, or a Sadducee or a Pharisee, coming up with the goods, but not one of his own followers. That just, he has no more authority than that. And so there are reasons for thinking that there was this Judas Iscariot, and I go into greater depth in my book. But my short answer is no. I don't think it's made up. I think it really happened in some way. I don't know exactly how it happened, but I think it did happen.